Every video on modernizing WPF starts the same way. Step 1, migrate to Maui or migrate to any other UI framework or rewrite the entire code. Here's the thing nobody tells you. You don't have to rewrite anything. Watch this. If you are maintaining a real WPF app, the kind with 10 years of business logic nobody fully understands anymore, a full rewrite isn't a technical decision, it's a career risk. You are not just porting XAML, you are litigating every edge case a rewrite might silently break. But WPF's UI has aged. Modern dashboards, charts, anything web native, that's not WPF's strong suit anymore. So the real question isn't rewrite or don't. It's can you add modern UI to the app you already have without touching what already works? The answer is BlazorWebView. And it's been sitting in .NET SDK since .NET 6, free, MIT license, built by Microsoft, and almost nobody uses it for this. By the end of this video, this exact task manager, plain WPF, been running for years in this hypothetical situation, gets a second tab, a real Blazor component, reading live data from the same C# service the WPF side already uses. No duplicate layer, no REST API in between, no iframework hack. One process, one memory space, two rendering engines talking to the same object. So the first step is to edit the project file. So here I have opened the Blazor WPF hybrid project file, and the first thing that I'm going to do is add this superset of Razor. And Razor files aren't just C sharp; they are a separate markup format that needs its own compiler pass. Before the C sharp compiler even sees them, Microsoft.NET.SDK doesn't import those builds targets at all. Microsoft.NET.SDK.Razor does, and it is a superset. It still supports WPF, WinForms, everything that the plain SDK does. And if you skip this, the project doesn't fail loudly. Visual Studio just won't let you add a Razor component item if you miss to add this Razor. And if you force one in by hand, the build says that the type does not exist, which is confusing error because it doesn't point back at all to the SDK line over here. So we have to have this Razor superset to include Razor into this project. So I have done this. I will save this and just go ahead and rebuild just to rule out any errors. And the build is successful. So the next step is to install the Blazor WebView NuGet package. So I'll go to Solution Explorer and right click on the project and go to Manage NuGet packages. And here you can see I have already installed Microsoft ASP.NET Core Components WebView.wpf. This actually gives WPF the Blazor WebView control, a WPF native UI element that hosts a WebView to browser control internally and renders Razor components into it. Without this package, Blazor WebView doesn't exist as a type. And the step one that we did where we added the Razor SDK lets you write Razor components, but this package is what lets WPF display them. So we have this installed. So please go ahead and install this to include Blazor WebView. So next is to create the Blazor UI folder and files. So I will go ahead and paste in the code that I already have so that we do not waste time writing the entire code, and instead I will explain you what each of the file will do. So I will go ahead and paste the folder that I already have, and if you go to Solution Explorer you will see that the Blazor UI folder has been added. So the first thing that you will see is the analytics.razor file, and this is the actual component, the C sharp plus the markup that gets compiled into a UI class. So here you can see all the UI elements like the header, the subtitle, and the components itself, and the categories, label, and so on. And it also has the code. So the next one is within that folder is the import.razor, and this is the Razor version of global usings. So this will be applied to every .razor file in that folder. So we are so that we do not repeat the at using statements. So next one in the folder is within the www root, and that is the index.html file. And this is required because Blazor WebView, even in a native desktop app, still renders into an actual browser engine under the hood. It needs a real HTML document as an initial page with the div id equal to app placeholder that your root component gets mounted into. The next one, so here you have seen the id of app, and that is where the root component gets mounted into. And the next one and the last one in this folder is the app.cs, and this is just the styling loaded like any normal web page would load it. This is genuinely a tiny web app living inside your desktop window. So that is it for all the folder files within this folder, and this is all the Blazor UI changes that we did. So the next step is to extend the task service.cs. So let me go to services and open the task service.cs. And this is the part that makes the integration a two-way bridge instead of a one-time snapshot. WPF's observable collection already tells WPF's UI when items are added or removed. That's built into data binding. Blazor, on the other hand, has no idea that mechanism exists. The task service or the changes that we need to do in the task service is to add a task change event. So let me go ahead and add this under the observable collection, and I'll explain what this task change event will do. So I'll go ahead and add it under the observable collection over here, and also under this class. So I'll go ahead and add it over here. So let's also change it to public. Let's add that access specifier, save it. And the task change event is a plain C sharp event your service raises whenever the data changes and Blazor subscribes to it and calls the state has changed in response. I need to make two more changes, so I'll go ahead and add them here. These are the two methods, get category breakdown and get completion stats. These exist purely because the analytics view needs aggregated numbers and not the raw list. So no reason for WPF side to have needed them before. So there's one more small change that I will do to complete this code, and I will add this dictionary on the top after the remove method, and save this. And let's move to the next part, which is to rewrite the app.xaml. So let me open the app.xaml file. And the first thing that we need to do is remove startup URI from here. So let me go to this and just remove the startup URI. And the startup URI in WPFs just handles this for me. It's convenience. On startup, the framework automatically instantiates your window using its parameterless constructor and shows it. That's exactly the problem. Once main window needs an iService provider passed into its constructor, there's no parameterless constructor left for startup URI to call. And that's why we are going to remove it, and we are going to make some few changes to our app.xaml.cs file to include this iService provider in the constructor. And WPF throws a XAML parse error trying anyway. So that's why we need to remove that startup URI in the first place. So now that we have done this, now let's go to the app.xaml.cs and make the changes that we need. So this is where the actual bridge gets built in. Conceptually, a service collection is just a list of how to create this type when someone asks for it. For example, now let's me before I talk more, let me copy the code that I have for the app.xaml and paste it over here. So let me first copy in the namespaces. So just paste it over here, save it, and then I will copy the rest of the code. So copy it and then paste it over here. So here you can see I've made a few changes. So let me save this first and rebuild the application. So let me walk you through the code. So a service collection over here is a list of here's how to create this type when someone asks for it. So the add WPF Blazor web view registers the internal plumbing for the Blazor web view when it needs to resolve components through DI, and it's a required call, not optional boilerplate. Registering the iTask service as a singleton and not transient is the actual mechanism that makes WPF and Blazor share states. And singleton means that the container hands out the exact same object instance every time to whoever asks, regardless of which side of the app is asking this. And now finally, to fix this error, we need to make some changes to our main window.xaml. So let me open this up and I have the code ready. So I will go ahead and control A, control V, and I will explain you what are the changes. The first thing that is this I service provider that we have added. And these resource dot add and the data context has been updated. Think of this like your app has a toolbox, the I service provider, and with all this shared stuff in it, the task list, the view model, everything. Before, main window just made its own tools from scratch. Now the main window gets the whole toolbox when it's created. Two things happen with this toolbox: you put it somewhere the Blazor screen can find it, and you also grab the view model out of the same toolbox instead of building a fresh one. Next is to rewrite the main window.xaml in simple terms. So let me go ahead and select all of the code that I have for the XAML and open the XAML file and go ahead and paste the whole code. I will explain you what are the changes soon. So control A, control V, and here you can see the entire code has been pasted. So the first thing that to notice is, let me try to expand this view. And the first thing that you will notice is that I have added this Blazor namespace here on the top, and also the UI where the Blazor UI folder has been referenced. The next one is you will see that I have updated it to a tab control, and at the bottom you have a new tab now added, which is hosting or showing the entire Blazor integration, and it is very simple. So the two changes that are pretty visual is that our existing task list, the boxes, the buttons, all of it gets stuck into a tab that is on the top, the first tab. And it is basically a folder tab like you see in a browser. Nothing inside changes. You are just putting a wrapper around it labeled tasks. The next one is the second tab that you are seeing here at the bottom called analytics, and inside it we have a Blazor control. That control needs to be told four things, plain and simple: where or which web page to open first, and that is the index.html. This is the host page. Where to find the shared toolbox from the previous step, and that is this is the service, and the services is equal to dynamic resource dot services, and this name has to match with the services that we create over here. The next one is which Blazor component to actually show, and here we are showing that we need to show the analytics component. And finally, where on the page to put it, a spot in the HTML named app. So here is the selector, and if you remember our index.html, this is the where it will put the content. So that's really it, and you are not touching your existing tab, you are just adding a second one next to it and pointing it to the right piece. So that's it. Two packages, three lines of DI wiring, one XAML control, and your 10-year-old WPF app just gained a modern web rendering UI surface. And every business rule you had before still runs exactly like it did yesterday because you never touched it. So hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and do subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye bye.